Juanita is sitting here, or we're together. But tonight, I'm on my own. So thank you for joining me. What we try to do from one week to the next is the person who preached on Sunday will typically teach on Wednesday, and that's how we kind of keep it rolling that way. And tonight is my night. I preached a sermon on Sunday entitled "I'm Tired of This Blank." Those of you who watched the sermon, you might go back and check it out. Marcus Newsom, our editor here and our director, put an appropriate bleep in that place. But what really registered with me was that blank is important because what I realized is that we are all tired of something. Some of us are tired of what's happening right now as it relates to justice or the lack thereof. Some of us were already tired of how we were being treated in the workplace. Some of us were tired about our lives, period. The mundane repetition. But however and whatever you are tired of, this sermon this talk tonight will offer hopefully some suggestions to help you move from where you are right now to where you can be. And that's the goal, to get you where you can be. Because at the end of the day, if you're stagnant right now, if you're in a place right now where you cannot see your way forward, then you are stuck. And there is a difference between standing still and being stuck. Standing still is volitional. In essence, I can determine to make the move at any point I choose. But if I'm stuck, there are some extenuating circumstances that are keeping me from taking that next step. And this evening, I want to make sure you are moving out from where you are to where you can be. And that's where we are. Let's pray for a moment. Spirit of the living God, we thank you for visiting us right now, for being present with us, for speaking to the heart of that one person who right now is sitting beside the road, just like blind Bartimaeus. When we think about, Lord, our current predicament, we know that the only way we can make that ultimate move is through divine intervention, of which we are right now asking for divine intervention in our lives. Come right now, Lord. Speak to our hearts. Release us to live and experience the lives that you have called us to live and experience. In the mighty name of Jesus, amen, amen. I'm going to read a passage of scripture, and we'll keep rolling. This is in Mark chapter 10, verse 46. And it reads, "Now they came to Jericho. As he went out of Jericho with his disciples, a great multitude, blind Bartimaeus, the son of Timaeus, sat by the road begging. And when he had heard that it was Jesus of Nazareth, he began to cry out and say, 'Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me.' Then many warned him to be quiet, but he cried out all the more, 'Son of David, have mercy on me.' So Jesus stood still and commanded him to be called. Then they called the blind man, saying to him, 'Be of good cheer. Rise, he is calling you.' And throwing aside his garment, he rose and came to Jesus. So Jesus answered and said to him, 'What do you want me to do for you?'" Boy, that's a question right there. The blind man said immediately, "Rabboni, that I may receive my sight." Then Jesus said to him, "Go your way, your faith has made you well." And immediately he received his sight and followed Jesus on the road. Well, I quoted Fannie Lou Hamer when I preached this last Sunday, and this sermon was really specific to what I wanted to say tonight, and that is, Fannie Lou Hamer had been talking, she had been asking, making the request, asking for fairness. All right, but in this moment in 1964, at this particular church, Williams Institutional CME in Harlem, Dr. Hamer said, what I'm trying to point out to you now, when you take a close look at this American society, it's time to question some things, all right? We've made the appeal, she said. We've asked you to protect us in Mississippi, she said. She went on down this list. He said, but you know what? At the time, it was 300 years. We've given you time. He said, I've been tired so long, and now I am sick and tired of being sick and tired, and we want change. And that's what Bartimaeus on the side of this road exemplifies for you and I. We don't know how long Bartimaeus has been sitting on the side of that road, but we do know that institutionally, somehow, he was placed in that predicament as a result of having been marginalized for who knows how many years. When we look at this situation, we know that he must have gotten tired of having to beg for his existence. And I think that's where we are in America. We should be, at this point, tired of begging, having to beg just to be treated fairly. I was listening to one gentleman, Byron Wilson is his name, and Byron Wilson said, one of the problems is we have been asking for change, in essence, begging for change like Bartimaeus, all right, instead of demanding change. And then he talked about the difference between justice and reform, all right? Justice in that moment might have been to placate Bartimaeus with what he was asking for, and that was, probably some extra change. But reform, on the other hand, completely removes Bartimaeus from his current predicament and now puts him, regardless to his physical sight, puts him in a position to where now he is equal to everyone around him. I was listening to an example. This is the best example I've heard about whether the debate between Black Lives Matter and All Lives Matter. And this one particular person gave a perfect example. But she said, All Lives Matter is the equivalent of a house in the neighborhood burning down. I mean, literally, it is on fire. It's burning down, right? And the fire department shows up in the neighborhood, drives into the neighborhood, and starts blasting a house 3 blocks away that's not on fire with water. Because all houses matter, right? No. In that moment, the house that's on fire is the one that needed attention. And it was the one that mattered in that moment as it related to the remedy to its predicament. So the next time you think about what matters, yes, Black Lives Matter, because our house has been on fire for 400 years. Now, I've heard some people talking about 230 years or 200. Oh, where y'all get that number from? It's been 400 years. And you can add 200 years if you talk about how this whole construct of race literally came into the picture, but 400 years here. And like Dr. Hamer, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. Ta-Nehisi Coates, the author between the World and Me, phenomenal author, in a recent interview said the violence is not new. What is new now is the camera. And even though the cameras don't catch all of the entire experience, what we do know is that had it not been for a camera, Ahmaud Arbery's death would have gone completely unnoticed, and those three gentlemen would have been walking around free as birds, and they were actually murderers and they lynched that young man. We think about the cameras. So when we look at the whole of the experience, we don't know how long Bartimaeus had sat on that road and the indecencies he had experienced as a blind man begging on the side of that road. But we do know now there is someone there to capture that moment, and that someone is Jesus. So let's look at this text for a moment. Mark 10:46 says, and they came to Jericho, and he went out to Jericho with his disciples, and there was Bartimaeus sitting on the road. This text is filled with imagery that resonates with meaning during our current time. Now Bartimaeus was blind, and subsequently his life was relegated to begging for just basic survival. But what we really have to know is it was really bigotry that had Bartimaeus in that predicament. Let's look at his family of origin. If you look at the prefix bar in his name, Bartimaeus, which simply means the son, in this case, of Timaeus. Now look at the meaning of his name, and we realize that the meaning is unclean, impure, abominable. In this case, Bartimaeus could mean the son of my impure ones, which is in keeping with the general bigotry against those with disabilities in this particular day and time. But what we realize that Bartimaeus was literally subjected to a lack of justice as a result of his birthright, of simply being born into the family of Timaeus. But we see where this being marginalized is not new. It's not a new concept, and it's not even a new construct. But what has happened here is that it's been, it's been progressed to another level. Richard Beck, in his book Unclean, says that in defining disgust, and that whenever we look at someone who has been sociologically marginalized, then we ultimately have to know that marginalization is actually related to or connected to disgust. And I mentioned in my sermon how we determine what's disgusting who's disgusting by the same token that we determine what we eat and what we don't eat, what we consider inappropriate and who we consider inappropriate. And we think about this construct of race that's been around about 600 plus years, but 400 years we've been subjected to this here in this country. We realize that there are three things that Bartimaeus is going to tell us, and we're going to unpack those three a little bit more than we did on Sunday. Number one, in verse 47, it says, when he heard that it was Jesus of Nazareth, all right, he began to cry out and say, Jesus, son of David, have mercy on me. He was saying, in essence, Black Lives Matter, all right? Justice, now. Reform. Jesus, son of David, have mercy on me. The one who could impact his predicament, the one who could literally change his status from beggar to participant in the free enterprise system of that day was present. And he began to shout out. And the more he shouted out, the more the institutional managers were saying, shh. Isn't that something? The more he shouted out, the more the institutional managers said, shh, shh, shh. We don't want to disturb the status quo. Let me tell you, you want to disturb the status quo. My first point that I'm hitting tonight is you not only have the right to speak your truth, you're required to speak your truth. What does that mean? That means instead of asking for change, we're going to demand change. Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me. Change my predicament. Yeah, change my predicament. I'm tired of begging. I'm tired of sitting on the side of this road, being economically marginalized while the rest of the world rides on by. Well, in that particular day, they were riding on by, right? I'm tired of that. So, in the process of not letting the external and the internal critics silence your witness, or keep you from experiencing what do y'all think about my birthday hat? That's some nice stuff, ain't it? Yeah. Keep you from experiencing all that you are to experience, then there's something else at work. And that's when we get to my second and my last point. Got there kind of quick, didn't I? So first of all, you have the right to speak and you are required to speak truth to power in this moment. But number two is what happens when Jesus calls him over, right? So Jesus stood still and commanded him to come over. And when he got there, the institutional managers who were at one point telling him, shh, 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 they're the same ones now saying Black Lives Matter, right? Yeah, NFL, yeah, right on. Now you say it. After destroying Kaepernick's career, right? Or attempted to anyway. Yeah, Black Lives. Yeah, right. Shh, shh. Oh. He wants to talk to you now. So they bring him over, and when he got there, when he got to him, so first of all, he threw aside his garment, which meant he knew this was an opportunity to make a move, right? So now we're in the midst of a moment, y'all. Don't let this moment escape you. This is a moment right now. You're in the midst of an opportunity, a disruption. And he gets to Jesus, and Jesus asks him, so what do you want me to do for you? Now think about this. So here we are. I'll tell you, Bartimaeus immediately said, I want to see. He didn't have to think about it. He sat along the side of that road long enough. He was tired of what he had been experiencing. We, as a people, have sat on the side of this road long enough. We are tired of begging. So we don't want just justice, we want reform, right? So when we're asked, what do we want? We want to be specific. We want the conviction and appropriate prison time for those who have perpetrated these murders and lynchings. Right? Yeah. We want legislation that literally brings immediate change to this current system. Legislation. And lastly, we want to modify the statutes by which officers of the law are prosecuted differently than anyone else who commits a crime, specifically murder. You got to know. Number 4, you want to be respected. Bartimaeus didn't have to think about it. He said, I want my sight. And immediately, Jesus said, hey, go your way. Your faith has made you well. And he received his sight. So in this moment, we realize that there is something about acknowledging that we know what it is we want, and it's a non-negotiable. Disruption has occurred. And in the midst of this disruption occurring, what we see Bartimaeus doing is taking a leap. Pastor Juanita's been talking about these quantum leaps. She's been a student of Mary Marcy, and we're learning a lot in our household about what it means to take that leap in that moment. And in that moment, Bartimaeus did not pause, did not hesitate. Bartimaeus jumped. And that's what I'm going to talk to you for the next few minutes about how to take the leap. First of all, you don't prepare for a quantum leap, you make it. And then you go back and start fine-tuning the specifics of where you want to go. But if Bartimaeus had waited for the right time, right? Or if he had waited for the right moment when Jesus was just close enough, then Bartimaeus would have missed completely his moment. You're in the midst, we are collectively in the midst of a quantum moment, and the only thing between us and change, permanent change, is taking the leap. We don't need anything else to be fixed. We don't need nothing else to be. You just give us the change we're requiring right now, and we will move forward. Act. Number 2. This is quantum. These are the mechanics of a quantum leap. Bartimaeus, right, shouted, "The one who can help me, help me." Right? The one who can make change, change. And then that one said, "Hey, come over here and we want to work together." Right? And he said, "What do you want?" He said, "I want my sight." He said, "Because you believe you can have your sight, you now have your sight." So the second aspect so first of all, you don't prepare for a quantum leap, you take the leap. Second of all, you act, then you frame out the details of your strategy. Start and let what happens, all right? And I believe something has already started, y'all. And I'm just excited about what can happen, because something can. And lastly, realize that mobility is a critical element. You take the step you can right now with what you have. Bartimaeus threw off his garment. He started running towards Jesus. All right. In that moment when he got up to him, just like this, like I'm getting up on this camera, he said, "I want my sight." Who listening to me tonight wants your freedom? Who tonight wants to be completely liberated from the chains and the crap that has kept you from fully experiencing? Who wants to be literally in a place right now where you can experience the freedoms of this great country because you have built it? I heard a commentator the other day saying it was asking one of the person he was interviewing. He said, "So why are they burning those buildings down?" And the person responded, "Because they own them and they have built them." That's right. 400 years we built this country. And those right now who are most afraid are the ones who benefited mostly from free labor for those 400 years. Yeah, free labor. for at least 250 of those years, 300 of those years. So now the time of reckoning and the time of change has come. Disruption has occurred. And it's up to us to experience all that this disruption is bringing about. I heard Otis Moss III, my dear friend and just prolific speaker. Once he said recently that the transitory emancipating process of every human being is what happens when you get to the place where you can't take it anymore. The transitory emancipating process is when every human being gets to the place where you can't take it anymore. I would say we're at that place. But our faith will be the aspect that will give us the freedom and the liberation that we deserve and have earned. It's time for us to be free, yo. Just like Bartimaeus got free from taking the step, from knowing what he needed and was willing to demand it in that moment, and then for following Jesus on the road afterwards. Right? So thank you. Thanks for hanging out with me tonight. I appreciate you more than you know. We are grateful for you. I'm grateful for your partnership. So stay with us. As we continue this journey, we're grateful for you. We couldn't do this work without you. Today was Wednesday. We probably helped about 500 families today. And we're grateful. The National Guard was here to help us distribute today. We've had some amazing partners come alongside. Just got a call this afternoon that the Steve and Marjorie Harvey Foundation was making their second contribution to this work in the last month, and we're grateful to them. We're getting ready to launch a significant project. We're close. We want you to know that that we are one step from beginning the process. It's a lengthy process, but one step from moving towards building a beautiful apartment development right here on the grounds alongside of the St. John's Church. The church is still going to be here, so I want you all to know that. We're going to be here. The church is not going to be torn down, not going to be moved, replaced, or displaced. We're going to be here doing our thing. But we are excited about what the road ahead has to offer. Hopefully, the quarantine has not been terribly traumatic for you, but if it has, know that we stand by and we're praying for you. We thank you. We thank you for continuing to support the work that we have all been called here to do. And we're grateful for your partnership. Couldn't do this without you. We thank you. We love you. And there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. So stay with us and know that we'll see you this weekend. We'll see you Sunday.